Our topic for the day, two states, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, for better or for worse. When a state is bifurcated, it's done primarily to provide more equal opportunities to a group of people who believe that they, being part of a larger state and without a dominant identity, have lost out on growth and employment opportunities. So the big question is, does carving out smaller states based on regional affinity actually help the smaller states and its people? If the answer is yes, then the real estate, be it commercial, residential or office, or both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh should get a big boost, shouldn't they? But is that really also simple? Today we bring you the freshly carved out states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. We bring these two under the scanner to map out new growth corridors and possibilities with real estate in mind. My panel, P. Anand Reddy, President, Andhra Pradesh Real Estate Developers. Also with us, Anand Reddy, Executive Director, PBEL, Property Development. Ashutosh Limaye, Head Research and Real Estate Intelligence, JLL India. Anshul Jain, Chief Executive, India, DTZ. Gaurav Karnik, Tax Partner, Real Estate Practice, EY. Samir, Jasuja, MD and CEO, Propequity. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I think just to set the stage for our viewers, to make it simple for them, let's focus our first part of the discussion on Hyderabad, of course the capital which the two states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana will share for the next 10 years. So we'll focus on this jewel in the crown which now goes to Telangana. Almost half of the entire state, Andhra Pradesh's revenues come from Hyderabad. This is the unbifurcated Andhra Pradesh that we are talking about. Hyderabad contributed to over 34,000 crore rupees to the state's total revenues of 70,548 crore during 12-13. So that's the reason why this particular city, state capital is so important. Of course, if you go on to look at some other statistics of the 44 state level public enterprises, the headquarters of 40 are located in Hyderabad. And of course, everyone knows it's the IT hub, considered a heavyweight, not just for IT, but also for drug industries, hospitals, laboratories, other business houses of Andhra Pradesh and research institutions, science research institutions as well. Also a big education hub. Now, the big question to our panelists and the focus on the future of Hyderabad, the money spinner. Anand Reddy, let's lug out just Hyderabad. Tell me, does the future look rosier from here now that all the uncertainty is over? For the last 2 to 3 years, corporates were a bit reluctant to take a step into Hyderabad, isn't it?
Absolutely, Manisha. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, I mean, the state bifurcation has happened for the good basically, because there was an uncertainty cloud for almost 3-4 years, which has actually impacted some portion for some part of the real estate growth. But as you said, I mean, Hyderabad is rich with many of these resources, such as the educational hub, the infrastructure is in place, one of the world-class airport, and the IT is already, which is a second in the country. And even in the last 3 years or 4 years, if you have seen, irrespective of the uncertainty, IT exports has always maintained its growth as the second largest IT exporter city in the country. So what happened in last 3-4 years is that irrespective of this uncertainty, Hyderabad has put up a fantastic infrastructure around here that has actually created a more land bank availability. Now with this uncertainty is over, and we are going to see many of the national and international developers who have invested in Hyderabad are going to come forward and to take up their projects, because it's going to accelerate and create more employment opportunities.
Gaurav, Karnik, we were discussing just before the start of the show on how, corporates have been reluctant, but do you see this is now a 3-month-old story, right? Do you now see the decision was taken in February? Do you see a sudden excitement and interest returning? Because you would be getting those queries from large multinationals, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think it's too early, a little early to really see the actual investments coming in. But definitely, if you look at talk to MNCs or other corporates who are trying to invest, they're more certain about the investments either in Andhra, in Seemandhra, or in Hyderabad.
So they're looking at both states now.
They will look at both, but Hyderabad obviously with the better infrastructure and being the IT hub and, as you mentioned, pharmaceutical hub, clearly is the easier target to get into, because everything is ready out there. So if things are going to look up there, especially from the MNC side, I think.
Okay, but you're thinking it's a bit too early to actually see the
dollars come in, so I think it's a bit early at the moment, but in the next few months, definitely we should see some decisions.
Anshul Jain, what's your opinion on Hyderabad? Do you think that it would probably go through a little bit of a pain period before it settles down? Or do you think that there is really nothing to be, there's no pain point left and it's only a positive story going forward for Hyderabad?
So if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, surprisingly, Hyderabad's been getting its share of commercial demand, albeit a muted one. So, there was still an absorption of between 3 to 4 million feet a year, and that's quite a lot. I think the activity, as with rest of India, started picking up at the beginning of the year on the commercial real estate side, albeit at a very kind of small level, and that started affecting Hyderabad and other major cities. Now, if you look at Hyderabad, the big issue there is that it's a 40 million square foot market, and because the construction of real estate or commercial real estate was very low over the last 3 or 4 years, it has just about 5 to 6 million square foot vacant. And I certainly see, with the overall activity in India and with Hyderabad settling down, at least for next 10 years, you'll see a renewed activity in Hyderabad. And that's really going to have an impact on the commercial real estate. So I think by early next year, you will see a crunch in Hyderabad real estate, and you'll see fervent activity by developers to try and build more commercial real estate. And I think that would happen by early next year.
Mr. Dasaratha Reddy, would you agree with Anshul Jain that probably, Hyderabad developers should have been ready with more commercial and office space, and now there's going to be a bit of a scramble? You foresee that kind of a demand, sir?
Yeah, definitely. We are expecting a lot of demand, and as you said, within 4 or 5 months, everything is settled down and market is looking upward. So you find residential, commercial, everything will be in full demand, and the infrastructure what Hyderabad is having, no other city is having in India. The infrastructure, outer ring road, radial roads, the weather condition, and the new thing for us, for Hyderabad, is metro rail is also coming up. So that connectivity, it helps a lot. Apart from all those things, the growth engines of Hyderabad, IT, service sector, pharmaceutical companies are there. We call it as a health capital. We call it as an education capital. Apart from all these things, people are friendly, total cosmopolitan city, and the rates are very low and affordable when compared to any small town throughout India. And it is a very good opportunity for the investors, national and international people, to come over here. On one side, you got international standard infrastructure. On the other side, rates are very low, affordable.
Okay.
So definitely within no time.
All right. So would you get into commercial? How soon would you do that? That's my question.
It will take, I think, another 1 year or 1.5 years. It will take some time.
So if you start in one and a half years, so you're still looking at new inventory coming in only in about 3 to 4 years. Am I right, Ashutosh? There's going to be a bit of a scramble for space in Hyderabad. Do you think it's that hot?
I think so. There will be some sort of space shortage in near future. Because I think while the occupiers were also holding on about coming to Hyderabad, I think it was the developers also on their side they were holding on. So we will not have enough quality space ready when occupiers are ready to move in. And I think that is a kind of opportunity lost, I would say, if developers would have done some kind of initial work to be ready with a space when the demand comes back. And we are clearly seeing that the demand is coming back. So I think whatever is available or will get ready in next few months will command the premium. And I think now with a clarity with everybody, we will see newer launches happening, but those will be ready only 24 months or later. So for immediate future, I think there could be some shortage.
All right. Any other challenges that you see, Ashutosh, for Hyderabad per se? I mean, I'm looking at, like Anshul mentioned, that the absorption hasn't been bad at all, even though it's been a little slow. But position Hyderabad against, let's say, the competition it has, which is both Chennai and Bangalore for me.
No, I think Hyderabad still scores over very good infrastructure, availability of the right talent, and very affordable real estate cost. So I think the only problem Hyderabad is lack of adequate quality supply. So if that is addressed, I don't think on the other fronts Hyderabad can place itself behind its competition, which is principally Bangalore, Chennai, and to a certain extent Pune. So I think Hyderabad needs to now come up with good relevant supply as fast as it can, and I think it can still attract bulk of the demand that is coming back into the market.
Gaurav, is it still going to be predominantly IT and maybe healthcare, the traditional industries which have done well in Hyderabad, or do you think that the universe itself could now largen?
I think it's going to start, definitely IT still has got the first bet on it. But if you look at it, they're going to develop both states, they need to create more jobs in both states. Clearly Hyderabad and Telangana has always been IT hub till now, but it could have a manufacturing base because the center could look at giving incentives to both states to develop. And some of this, sort of incentives they might give, maybe an excise holiday or a tax holiday. It depends which state.
Already you have a chief minister asking for big SOPs. He's met Mr. Modi.
Yeah,
so both of them are clamoring for SOPs in a big way.
Because that's the way they'll attract investment. Because it'll become more viable in, some of the regions are not so developed. So if you give them excise holidays like we had in Baddi, Baddi developed from nowhere, and the tax incentives, the excise holidays and the income tax holiday really gave it a big fillip. So that's the same sort of philosophy I think they would do, and I think even manufacturing would have a good chance in these states.
Before I go on to residential, one last question, Anand Reddy. Why is it that Hyderabad, I remember reporting from Hyderabad and looking at Andhra Pradesh as a cub reporter for Dalal Street magazine. There was Pennar, there was Naveen, there was just so many companies which just have, don't find any mention anymore. So was there something probably which Chandrababu Naidu did in his days, which is concentrate so much on IT that the manufacturing side of the Hyderabad story didn't really take off that well?
No, let me just add onto the commercial real estate, then I'll come back to this question. So basically the IPCs like JLL, Cushman, they don't report the space that's created by the companies like TCS and Infosys on their own campuses. The last 2 years, basically TCS is creating almost 4 million square foot of a space near the airport. Out of which, half of that is going to be operational mid this year. Similarly, Infosys is building a campus in the 400 acres which has been partially done now. So apart from the commercial real estate that's going to be added into the city, there's another campuses also are part of the IT space that's getting added. So which is actually not reported in the amount of the transactions, the business that happens in overall in the commercial space.
Point taken. So you're saying the story is more exciting than what any of the IPCs are capturing. Is that so?
Exactly. In addition to the commercial space, there's an in-house space that's getting added by the large IT companies, which are not on the rental mode basically. So
Anand, then how do you take Hyderabad beyond just IT? Because it is, at some level you want to create a story like Pune and not just have it be an IT story, isn't it?
No, basically if you look at it, apart from the IT, Hyderabad is considered as a conventional hub where the world's mayor conference is going to happen in a couple of months from now, and year end there's a World Parliament conference that's going to happen. There was a biodiversity which has happened in the last year. So then there's a Procter & Gamble which has set up one of the Asia's best manufacturing facility in Hyderabad, which is going to be operational in few months. Johnson & Johnson is exploring. Then Tata's and these are the guys who have actually set up the aero industry as well, where Mahindra has a very large plant on the tractors, the jeeps in the Hyderabad, in the outskirts of Hyderabad. The only thing is that IT is the one which actually dominates the rest of the sectors, and that's a natural advantage of Hyderabad.
Fair enough. So with IT now, let's just look at the spillover of the Hyderabad story. It's been stunning, great infrastructure. However, the crisis, or at least the uncertainty before the two states were created, has been a little bit of a setback for the state. If you look at price appreciation, remember that 2009 to 12 were some of the best years for real estate sector. I would say no, not 2009 to 12. In fact, before that, 2007 to 12, if I take a 5-year period with a little bit of 1-year blip post-Lehman crisis, 5-year averages, if you look at a Gurgaon or let's say one of the fast-moving markets of Mumbai or Pune versus Hyderabad, you would feel that Hyderabad definitely lagged behind in price appreciation. So some of the best performing markets which we keep discussing on the property show, and this is Propequity data, so I'm going to toss over to Samir next. Gachibowli has given you an appreciation between 2009 and 13 of 7.7%. High-Tech City, Madhapur about 8%, Kondapur 5%, Kukatpally, etc. about 6%, and Miapur just a little under 5%. So Samir, I know that these are long-term averages. There was a time when Hyderabad, some of these markets, despite having all the infrastructure, good construction quality, which you kept saying on the show repeatedly, actually fell because of the uncertainty, and then now the curve is turning positive. My question to you is, how much more can this market, residential market, gather momentum if you're talking about all these exciting IT and manufacturing plans?
I also said that for Hyderabad the only way is up now, because if you look at the key data points for a large city like Hyderabad, you have total supply that is hitting the market, which is only about 30,000 odd units.
That's it?
Yeah,
less
that's
than
it.
Noida?
That's it. I would say literally 1/3 of Noida.
Okay.
So if you look at from that point of view, there is a lot of action that can happen. And if you look at the price points even, the weighted average price of Hyderabad is far lower than new micro markets or new cities that emerged, say in the NCR region, or even when we're talking about MMR. Hyderabad is cheaper than Thane and Navi Mumbai, which is unreal, because at one point in time this used to be much more expensive than all these suburban micro markets. So what is going to happen?
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That now Thane is more expensive than some of the, even a high-tech city.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So if you look at it from that point of view, there's a lot of catching up that has to happen. There's a lot of limited supply that has got released in the market because there were no takers really. So I think the action is going to really start to happen now. But what is also to be seen is that you got Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, who is going to be super aggressive in trying to create a new capital.
Okay, we're going to leave that for a little bit later, because yes, but you're saying that could be a big competition.
That could be a big competition, both for, at least from the IT front, and the other part is that I think that if you look at the data points, other than just the total supply, the inventory overhang is slowly coming down, which is a big positive. The prices now, don't look at the prices when you're looking at the price appreciation chart. You're looking at over the last
averages.
2.5, 3 years.
Yes.
If you look at the last 1.5 years, the key micro markets have done better than 20-25%. So right now, it is probably one of the best micro markets in India, because if you look at the tier 1 cities in the last 6 to 8 months, they have not witnessed any price appreciation.
So pick out two for me, Samir, out of this list which has come from Propequity, which could do. Would Gachibowli, High-Tech City still remain your favorites?
Yeah, absolutely, because these are formidable locations. They've emerged to be prime locations in the IT hub region of Hyderabad. And I think going forward, these are the locations, and the weighted average prices of these markets are still fairly low. And you have ready projects that are available, so there is zero execution risk that a buyer has to take. So I think for a property which is around 4,000 to 5,000 rupees a square foot in High-Tech City or in Gachibowli, for it to touch 7,000 to 8,000 rupees a square foot in the near future is not going to be.
Near future is what, 12 to 24 months?
2 to 3 years max.
Okay.
It could be even 12 to 24 months, but I'm saying to be on the safe side, even if it's 3 years, it won't be surprising at all. And that we are talking about literally 100% increase in pricing.
Good Lord. Anand Reddy, you should be very happy after hearing Samir, and people should be queuing up for all the projects that you guys launch. But tell me, what are some of the growth corridors according to you in the Hyderabad market? I mean, are there markets beyond High-Tech City and Gachibowli that one could look at?
No, basically as Samir has said, I mean like Hyderabad, one micro market. Within Hyderabad, you have a couple of micro markets. Like Western Corridor is a micro market which will be predominantly for the people who are working in the IT industry. The north of Hyderabad is a micro market more famous for the villas, which is basically taken by business communities. Then on the southern part, I mean, where on the airport and these areas, you are going to see more of the investments coming into the villa projects and the resorts and the convention centers or the industrial parks. And coming to the center of city, which is Banjara Hills and Jubilee Hills, which is the kind of considered as the most posh location, that's where we are going to see quite a bit of price rises. So there's a different micro markets, and we hope that with the current trends, what we are looking at it, they're going to be a price rise of at least 30% in next 6 to 7 months.
You said 30%, 30, Anand?
Exactly.
Good Lord. Ashutosh, would you be that optimistic? So we have a range where Samir is saying, actually they're saying pretty much the same thing. Samir is saying 100% in next 3 years and Anand is saying 30% in the next 6 months, a little more optimistic, but well, even if you take a year, but that's the kind of unleashing of appreciation possible in Hyderabad's residential market, especially the hot corridors?
Exactly.
I think it's possible in the hot corridors. In the hot corridors, I do see that happening. But what I would like to stress out here is Hyderabad is a city which is so very well serviced with infrastructure, and there are large land holdings distributed among different developers, local, national, as well as interest from international developers. So I think it is in the interest of this city in long-term sustainability that we don't see too much of appreciation continuing over a mid to long-term period, because that is something which is the strength of the city, that as an end user or as a home buyer, you should have affordable housing available to you all the time. And when you have a case of very rapid appreciation to the tune of 100% appreciation in say 3 years, that segment tries to wither away. So it's not good in the long term. But given the present demand supply dynamics and where the property prices stack up today, I think in near term we can see that kind of appreciation in select corridors.
All right, pick out 3 for us. Would they still be High Tech City, Gachibowli, any other names that come to your mind?
I think those 3 corridors, the IT corridor of High Tech City and Gachibowli, typically high-rise apartment kind of typology. Then we have the northern corridor, which is more like independent houses, locally preferred. Yes, and then we have the airport corridor where we have large investor interest. So I do concur with that opinion that we have 3 distinct kind of growth corridors in Hyderabad.
Anshul, what's your view?
Manisha, I think what's going to happen, I concur a bit more with Ashutosh than with Anand. And the reason for that is fairly simple. I think there's going to be probably one spurt of increase which is really to catch up with, let's say, how Bangalore has moved on pricing. But I do think what's also going to happen is there's going to be a spurt of new launches. And therefore, while existing stock or supply under construction is low, there will be plenty of new stock to choose from. And with the infrastructure fairly dispersing the entire residential stock or the new launches in Hyderabad, and people willing to travel that much more because of the infrastructure availability, I think that 100% increase that Samir is talking about in 3 years, I think it will be very hard to achieve. So while I think there will be a bit of spurt to start with and then a normalizing.
Okay, fair enough. So that's a good point of view. That's Hyderabad. Gentlemen, stay with us. We're going to go on to our next part of our discussion right after this break. Search for the new capital of Andhra Pradesh. Well, knowing Chandrababu Naidu, topmost on his mind will be to create a formidable rival to Hyderabad. How does this play out for Hyderabad's real estate, and are developers beginning to snoop around, look around seriously at some of the key cities which are now going to be part of Andhra Pradesh, or have been, but now do come in the Seemandhra area? We'll bring you the names and the big contenders right after.